have DraftKings contributor Kenny Ducey and RotoWire NBA editor Nick Whalen here with me for NBA Building Blocks. We talk about who you guys are building your lineups around at each position. We're going to start with centers. Kenny, where are you going?
So this is going to come as a surprise because I do think the Knicks are going to win this game, and I do like the New York Knicks, and I do live in New York. But I like Nikola Jokic tonight at 10.7K against the Knicks. Look, he did have 47 fantasy points the last time he played the Knicks, but he only played 30 minutes in that game. Now he's played 34 on average over the last two. The Nuggets, they're inspired. They're gunning for that fourth spot out west, or the top spot, really, right? But they're in the fight there at the fourth spot. He's gone for 5X in 3 of his last 4. And the Knicks, they're actually 8th in defensive rating over the last 10 games. That defense has kind of slipped up a little bit to make way for some brolic offense. So the Knicks, they've had a little bit less of an emphasis on defense. You've got Nerlens Noel questionable. If he doesn't go in this game, I like Jokic going against Taj Gibson. And rebounding has never been something the Knicks have been great at anyway. So I think he should be able to, at the very least, rack up rebounds, have a decently high floor. I think he's got a very good chance of going for 5X again. And at 10.7K, you know, this guy could maybe be made 11.2. I like a little bit of a savings on Jokic, and I like building around him.
Yeah, 10.7, the second most expensive center tonight behind Giannis at 10.9. Where are you going on this one, Nick?
Well, I'm certainly never going to steer anyone away from Nikola Jokic, especially at that price. So I do like that call. Very big of you, Kenny, to pick him against the New York Knicks.
I'm
going to go just a little bit down.
And growing as a person.
I'm just going to go a little bit down in the pricing, down to 10.6. And Domantas Sabonis, 74 and 75 DraftKings points over his last 2 games. Those came against pretty fantasy-friendly opponents in OKC, which is doing whatever it can to lose games at this point, in Washington, which is right up there in pace, right behind Indiana, in fact, which over the last 15 games still leads the NBA in pace. They're second since the All-Star break. Still kind of wrapping my head around that. It's just not how you picture the Indiana Pacers playing, but he goes up against, another really, really strong opponent tonight. And if there's no Malcolm Brogdon for Indiana, I mean, he is very clearly the number one option for a team that has a ton of injuries right now. I know he missed like 6 games in a row at the end of April with what initially looked to be, somewhat of a serious back injury, something that could maybe cause him to miss more time. And then he comes back and he's been completely unrestricted. He played 43 minutes against Washington on Monday, had 32, 19, 9 assists, and 3 steals in that game. So I'm expecting another big minute night from Sabonis.
All right, Nick, how about at forward? You paid down a little bit at center. Are you going to pay up here?
A little bit, maybe not quite to that same level. One player I really like is Chris Middleton tonight, kind of going back to targeting that Washington team that Sabonis had so much success against on Monday. It is a tough back-to-back situation for Milwaukee. They've played Brooklyn twice in the last 3 nights. Those were both hard-fought games. So maybe there's a chance that they do pull back on the workload of some of these starters, but, they're still fighting for playoff seeding in the Eastern Conference. And, I think anytime you can target, one of the fastest paced teams in the league in Washington, you have to do it. 23, 7, 4, and 2. That was Chris Middleton's line last night against Brooklyn. Again, not a great defense, but a highly competitive matchup, and one where, it kind of felt like a playoff atmosphere. You're not necessarily going to get that against a Washington team that has some guys that do take possessions off. And then just looking at the last 4 games for Middleton, 41, 56, 42, and 52 DraftKings points. So I think he has a very good chance to meet value tonight at 8,200.
All right, Kenny, where are you going at forward?
Yeah, I really like Marvin Bagley again. I'm going to save some money here at $5,400. I liked him last night. He went for 5X, and I like him again here against an Indiana team that struggled on defense. They don't have Miles Turner, and now they don't have Jakar Sampson, and they don't have Goga Bitadze. They are really, really thin in the front court. I think Bagley should be locked into starters minutes once again. He's played 32 over the last 2 games. He, 9X 2 games ago at just $4,500. I think this guy definitely has 40 DKFP upside, and I'm definitely firing him up again here in a really, really good matchup against Indiana. And it's just important to remember the scoring prowess that this guy does possess. And he managed to, hit value and more last night without a good scoring night, just 5 of 15 from the field. I think he'll have a little bit easier of a time against, a really depleted Indiana team up front. And I think without Miles Turner there, that's a really, really attractive matchup for me. The Kings, they're running guys like Bagley out there right now, just trying to further him in his development because there was so much lost time there this year because of injury. So I do think that they really care about Bagley playing well. They're going to do their best to support him. The usage has been there over his last 4 games. And this is a guy that you were willing to pay almost $6,000 for, back in March. So $5,400, I think that his price is going to continue to creep up as we near the end of the season. I love him tonight.
All right, Kenny, let's talk about guards. Russell Westbrook, by far the most expensive guy at $11,000. You want to pay up or are you going down the board?
Oh, absolutely. I am paying up. Now, the reason I gave Bagley at $5,400 was because I do want to pay up for a couple guys tonight. Russell Westbrook is absolutely one of them. I mean, are you serious with these numbers, right? He's gone for 7X in back-to-back games, 39 minutes per game over those last 2. He only took 8 shots last game and still had one of the most ridiculous triple doubles I think any of us have ever seen. Now he goes into a game against the Bucks. Both of these teams are top 3 in pace. There should be like a gazillion points scored in this game. And Russell Westbrook, speaking of points, showed you that he doesn't even need to score points to put up 7 times what you're paying for him. He could have another 80 DK fantasy point night. I love Russell Westbrook here in this spot. This is going to be this pace is going to fly, and I think that he's going to continue to rack up the points. I don't know if he'll have a almost triple double by halftime, Jesse, but I think by the end of the third quarter he'll be pretty comfortably into hitting value and into triple double territory.
Ooh, all right, Nick, where are you going at guard?
I'm going to go a little bit further down and ride with Karis LeVert at 8,800 going up against Sacramento. As you can see, I really, really like this Pacers-Kings matchup. Again, Pacers number 1 in pace over the last 15 games. They're number 2 since the break. The Kings have the worst defensive rating in the league over both of those spans. They're allowing over 118 points per 100. That is not very good whatsoever. There's a pretty good chance that De'Aaron Fox ends up missing another game tonight on the second half of the back-to-back. And this is another one like Sabonis, where if Malcolm Brogdon misses another game for Indiana, then I like this pick even more. I mean, I still would ride with LeVert if Brogdon does play, but these last 3 games where he's essentially been functioning as the Pacers point guard, he's averaged 31 points, 4 rebounds, 5 assists, shooting over 50% from the field, over 55% from 3 on about 7 attempts per game. So we're finally starting to see him, settle in after, kind of a bizarre start to the season where he missed all that time early on. But coming off of a 33.7 rebound, 5 assists, got to the line 10 times in that game against Washington on Monday. And I mean, Indiana is putting up like 293 points over the last 2 games. Again, it's just weird to wrap your head around the Indiana Pacers playing this up and down style, but the way that they're playing right now with all the injuries, the way they've had to adjust on the fly, the defense has kind of gone out the window and they're just going up and down.
All right, Nick, favorite overall bet for tonight could be a total prop, whatever. What is your favorite overall bet in the NBA?
I kind of like Portland minus 11.5 at Cleveland. It's another big number for the Cavs. They of course took the Suns to overtime last night and still managed to lose that game by 16 points, completely bailed me out of my Suns minus 13 bet, which appeared to be completely lost when they went into overtime. That's the second highest overtime point spread ever in NBA history. So chances that the Cavs, I think, play another good team tough are not great. I don't see that happening again. They're an NBA worst 8-19 against the spread against the Western Conference. So I think Cleveland kind of caught lightning in a bottle, maybe caught Phoenix sleeping a little bit last night. I don't see that happening again. I think they get blown out by Portland.
Kenny, favorite overall bet?
Yeah, I as soon as I saw that line, I knew Nick was going to talk about it.
I had to.
I like obviously the Knicks to win tonight, right, against the Nuggets, but that's too obvious. So I'll give you the Wolves +3 against Memphis. They've covered in 4 of their last 5. This team is 4th in defensive efficiency over the last 5 games, which is just outrageous, and 15th in offensive efficiency, which is really, really good for the Timberwolves. This team has been like last place in offense all season long. So to see him in the middle of the league is just tremendous. They've been playing very well. The Grizzlies, they're 3 games cleared that 11th spot. They seem like complacent with just having the 9th or 10th seed at this point. They've been losing a lot. You got to ride the hot hand here, and that is the team that's covered in 4 of 5 against the team that is not covered in 4 of 5. And that is what you have tonight in the Timberwolves +3 against Memphis. Give me the points with Minnesota.